again.
All right, it's on.
Okay, let's start over. Call to order the Hideaway Hills Club Board of Trustees meeting of July 21, 2020. I call this meeting to order tonight. Motion to adopt the agenda. There's one change, one minor change in the agenda, is that at 7:30 p.m. I will adjourn to open forum in order that a member who is requested to address the board will have that opportunity. It's Kevin Fleeman, and that will be at 7:30. May I have a motion to adopt this agenda?
So moved.
Linda moves. Is there a second?
I'll second. Jim Lloyd.
Jim Lloyd seconds. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. On to the president's report. I'm going to make the president's report simple. Wanted to make it as simple as possible, that this is next month will be the annual meeting and will be the vote for the assessment increase. I think that the assessment increase is incredibly important to us, to all of us. I appreciate the people, the members who have worked hard. Jim Sigafus and Mary Beth have worked on developing, and Greg Patassin as well, doing some YouTube presentations. I recommend people look at them if they haven't. On top of that, this is the biggest issue in terms of being able to develop our infrastructure and provide the event people I think in Hideaway Hills want. I'm committed to doing anything I can to making help this pass, and I hope the rest of you will join me in that, both in the board as well as across the membership. Again, that'll happen at the annual meeting. We'll talk later about the structure of the annual meeting. But again, I encourage you to vote, and I encourage you to vote in favor of it. With that, we'll go to the correspondence. Annie, do you have any correspondence for this evening?
Yes, we have several letters. First from Eric Boysko. Dear Board of Trustees, I would like to thank all members of the board for their thankless hours of work. It is especially noteworthy how professional and disciplined they maintain themselves given the recent social media flurry and criticisms. It must have been difficult to only hear one side. It's our sincere belief the truth will come out when everyone is given an opportunity to be heard, so we can learn from this, then begin to heal. I understand many are passionate about what they say. Some only learn there's another side or perspective. Unfortunately, unfounded posts are seldom retracted. A live conversation is needed where each side listens and hears how the other experienced and reacted to events and issues. A public forum may be necessary when years of hard work and reputations are tarnished unfairly. It is my optimism all members will use the community board forum to be heard, but more importantly, listen to what's being said with an open mind. Thank you for your service, dedication, and your efforts to make Hideaway Hills special. Sincerely, Eric Boysko. We have a second letter from Ginger Mercalo and Dave Lee, to the Hideaway Hills Board of Trustees and Management Committee. The incredible time and energy you all contributed to the operation and betterment of this unique volunteer-driven club community is an asset beyond estimation. Please know that your generous, caring commitment to the growth and prosperity of Hideaway Hills is more broadly appreciated, especially in this time of social and economic challenge. Recognition and gratitude of these selfless acts are too often obscured in a time of hyperbolic social media. Thank you for modeling your leadership with professionalism and integrity. Sincerely, Ginger Matalo and Dave Lee, Lobby 250. Third letter is from Susan and Dale Lamp. To the Board of Trustees, we want to first thank all of you for your continued hard work to make this place that we are proud to call home. We frequently comment to ourselves how lucky we are to have found a place to live that will allow us to enjoy retirement and grow old. Recently, friends of ours from Columbus bought a cabin in our community, and after a couple of years of looking at other lake communities. We would like to impress upon the board that upholding the club rules for everyone is essential for the integrity of the community. We feel that communication to the community is the way to dispel rumor and set the tone of civil discourse, which is currently lacking in some of the talk on social media. Dale and I continue to support all of your efforts and will most definitely be voting for the board members who will continue to work together for the betterment of our community. We will also be voting for the assessment increase. Respectfully submitted, Susan and Dale Lamp, 985 South Court. And our last one is from Bridget and Stan Durham. Dear Board of Trustees, my husband and I have been members of Hideaway Hills since 2005. During that time, we've owned 3 different homes and several extra lots. We volunteered and served on committees. We've introduced numerous friends and family to our little slice of heaven. In Hideaway Hills, we've made the best and dearest friends anyone could hope for. We've watched with broken hearts the accusations and lack of civility towards you, our neighbors, our volunteer board of trustees. While many of you have valuable professional experience, this job isn't your primary responsibility. I can't imagine the hours you have poured into managing our beloved Hideaway Hills. Stan and I cannot thank you enough for your commitment to the Hideaway Hills Code of Regulations, your courage in honoring it without favoritism, and your civility and demeanor in the face of social media attacks and armchair quarterback backing by and from your neighbors. There are many, many, many of us who appreciate and stand by you. Thank you, Bridget and Stan Durham. And that's all the correspondence.
Thank you, Annie. I appreciate that.
Yep.
It's nice to hear a couple compliments too. I will say that. With that, we move on to the minutes. Everyone, the minutes were in your packet that Christina sent out this afternoon. Are there any motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Moves. A second on that?
I second.
Second from Linda. Okay. Any questions of Annie? Discussion or questions regarding the minutes?
Hey, Annie, this is Jim Boyd. Could you email us that correspondence?
I'm sorry, what did you ask?
Could you email us the correspondence just so I'd just like to take a look at it?
Sure.
You could? Appreciate it.
I think that'd be fine. We'll send it out to everybody so they can all take a look at it.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Being no further discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Opposed. Wyville, we can't see you, but we can certainly hear you. Go on. Please start, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Treasurer's
President. Treasurer's report for the Board of Trustees. Total committee funds in the Benton County National Bank on June 30th of 2020 are $125,452.27. I'd like to make a motion to have this approved. Report approved.
There's a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Eric. Any questions of Tim? Being no questions, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the management committee report. Mr. Sigafus.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to try to share this, my notes, just so you can read along. It may work, it may not. Okay, management committee opening. We have had 6 members submit applications for the management committee opening. We hope to interview those at our first meeting in August and make a recommendation to the board at the annual meeting. Not sure, hopefully you guys can approve it then. General manager search committee. So we're going to announce to the club soon as Jim and I get around to drafting something, but announcing to the club officially that Randy is retiring at the end of December. I've currently 4 members that have volunteered to be on the committee. I have a current management committee member, 2 former board members, a management committee member, and another member that's in HR. I would like to have 1 current board member volunteer. That is a shameless plug for a volunteer. So let me know.
I'll be willing to do it. I'll be willing to do it, Jim. I was on the management committee for 7 years. I think
Gotcha.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Anybody else? I mean, I don't want to limit it to too small a group, but we don't want to have too many people as well. So that should give us 5. I'll obviously oversee with that group as well, and make sure that I help them along. But we've got some very good, strong people on that committee already. Lake Deerfoot Management Committee member Steve Kundiff is working on a plan of attack for the algae and weed issues in that lake, including running the aerator and applying copper sulfate. We're also working with the Lakes Committee on that one. They're generous enough to help us with the copper sulfate. Clubhouse staffing. We're continuing to look for 1 additional part-time person. Business has been good as we made a slight profit in June. We've added Sunday hours, but last Sunday was pretty dismal. I assume that was mostly because it was like a steam oven out there. Package delivery, member Eric Bosco is working with the management committee on a comprehensive study of the package issue in the club. Eric plans on bringing back a multifaceted approach to relieve the situation. Just keep in mind, there is no one solution to this problem. We need to urge members to pick up their packages as soon as possible. We're still getting upwards of 500 packages a week, and that try to hold those packages is impossible. The food service committee has met and went over the preliminary plan for a lodge reopening, as well as addressing issues at the clubhouse. We're meeting again on August the 4th, come up with some concept for a remodeled lodge that will better serve the membership. I'm hoping that we have an online or a in-person assessment meeting. We can share those plans as well at the annual meeting. The Hideaway Hills Road Plan, committee member Rex Everly has worked extensively on a road plan with Rick O'Neill. We are hiring a contractor to do Motopave. Really should be not doing Motopave, doing chip and seal. Primarily on the west side of the Lake of the Four Seasons. Basically, Rex has drove every mile of Hideaway Hills. He feels that those roads on the west side are some of the worst that we have. So we're going to kind of focus on that and just do some patchwork on the remaining part. Our maintenance crew will be focusing on asphalt repairs, sweeping, and ditch repairs. The brewery continues to be a topic. Committee member JJ Jeffers is meeting with the brewer to discuss his plans to brew beer. We've asked him to get our beers brewed, and hopefully he will have a batch done soon. We're kind of on his timeline though. Financial audit. The club is scheduled to have a 2-year financial audit done this year for 2019 and 2020. The cost will be around $12,000 to have this done. It's just an estimate. It was about $10,000 last year. I'm guessing a couple thousand increase because that auditor retired. This actually, Randy did some research, and it's up to the board to decide if they want this completed. So I'm pushing that to you guys to make that determination. On one hand, I like having the audit done, look at our books, but then again, that's $12,000 to spend. So I think that should be a topic for the board to discuss. We don't have to decide that tonight, obviously. Expense management plan. Management committee is continuing to take a hard look at all expenses and have requested to approve all spends over $500 to ensure that we're getting best prices. Right now, every dime matters right now. We're committed to pinching pennies to make get the most of our dollars, our members' dollars. June and June year-to-date financials. Penny sent those out, I think, today. Our expense management plans put into place as part of our budgeting process are working as we're generating positive cash flow, but we have a long way to go to get out of the hole and get our funds back to healthy. I will say at the next management meeting, we're going to update our equipment listing, which I'd like to share with the membership prior to the vote. It is important for members to see that cost of our equipment and how much it's aging, and understand that's why we have to get to these higher levels on our depreciation fund to be able to buy, safe equipment so that our maintenance guys can take care of the roads. They can take care of emergency tree issues. They can, everything they do as equipment. Our boats are old. So I'm hoping to get that out to the membership once we get that updated. I'll entertain any questions now.
When do you think we need to make it? It's Krieger. When do you think we need to make a decision about the audit?
Probably I'd like to know by September, so that gives us a chance to, by the board meeting in September, that gives us a chance to, we have to find a new auditor, get them engaged and on their schedule. They usually do the audit in April-ish.
Right.
The JC and Company out of Lancaster had done it previously. She's retired. They don't have another auditor. A lot of firms aren't doing these small audits anymore. There's not a lot of money in them. So I figure we'll pay a little bit more, but it is ultimately up to the board. I think the management committee is kind of torn. We like the idea of having the audit. I think it helps the transparency, but it also is $12,000 to spend.
Randy, is it not correct? I thought there was in the code, there was some mention that we had to have an audit. Is
No,
my recollection?
I sent that information to Jim, and he's correct. We
Okay.
either can't, and so it's really up to the board whether they want us to or not.
Okay. Where the clubhouse staffing is that? Are we going through people, or are we just not getting anybody to come in to?
Right now, we're not getting a lot of people. I need to. One of the recommendations of the food service committee is to update the listing and then get it posted on some different social media sites. That's in my court. I need to look at that and get that done. Right now I know that people want more hours, but we're trying to maximize those hours. If you looked at the financials today, we made about $1,000, which is last month we lost about 600. So that's about a break even. That's where, we want to provide that service and no cost. We're at almost a break even, or try to break even. And I would like to add more hours, but I also want to make sure that we're not doing so at the detriment of our financials. Sundays have been doing well, and then I think the heat this Sunday just drove people away. We did $59 of sales, and we closed early. But, I've been excited to see, like Saturday, even having the food truck at the garden committee. We did over $1,000 on Saturday evening, so members are supporting us. So I'm happy about that. And if Eric would buy more shots, we would all get more. We'd be doing better.
I'm not a shot guy.
You can still buy it.
Wrong guy there.
You can still
Boy,
buy
that
it.
was a shameless plug.
Feel free to still buy it.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, on this past Sunday, I think, we probably had 20 some people at the scramble, and then everybody just took off as soon as it was over. And I think you're right. It was the heat. Yeah.
So I'm not judging. We don't judge it on one day because of the weather. We've had off days because of rain or the intense heat. So, I just encourage people to support it, but I get it. Nobody wants to sit out there in 95-degree heat and, drink when the lake is so close. It's so nice. But
Jim, could you remind everybody who's currently participating in the food services committee?
well, now you're making me miss somebody.
Yeah.
Well, you're on the committee. Eric Lapp, Jeff Barron, JJ Jeffers, John Blankenship. Jeannie Green was at the last meeting. There's a couple other, Mike Brohard. Help me out, Eric. Another lady couldn't attend time, but that's all I can remember at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions of Jim?
Yeah, Jim, this is Annie. I get the P&L by class report from Penny every month, and it's actually showing that the clubhouse lost money. So maybe you can clarify why that's different than what you're reporting.
I don't know. I looked at the financials today. Hold on. I don't know. What I looked at showed the clubhouse made about $1,000.
That's what I saw. I don't have it in front of me, but that's what I remember seeing.
We can
Law
look
board
at
did a
it.
report.
Did you look by the separate P&L just for the clubhouse?
Yeah, she breaks it out by class, as they call it, which is broken down by each committee.
I just looked at it at the clubhouse, actual clubhouse financials. What I looked at.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. I guess I didn't see what you saw. Any other questions?
Somebody's dog barked, which made my dog bark. So pretty soon, all of us who have dogs will be barking. I apologize.
Andy, I'm looking at the one that is just the income expense on cash basis, which would be, where did I see that?
Well, I just forwarded it to you. You can look at it and get back to us.
Clubhouse, net income of $1,039 based on $19,000 worth of sales. So, but yeah, feel free to share what you saw.
All right. We're at 7:30 and Mr. Fleeman has arrived on the scene. So if we'll adjourn right. Indeed. We'll adjourn right now to open forum. And Kevin would like to have a discussion with us. So
yeah,
Kevin,
absolutely.
you have
Thank you for that.
You have the floor.
Thank you. So I've got some questions, obviously. Probably figured that out by now. First off, I'd like to thank you guys for what you do. I know that you guys are volunteers and you do a great job and work hard for the community. But I do have some concern about how things have been handled. And I'd like to ask the board members a little, I mean, my big question is the recent situation, I just don't think it's been handled correctly. I think that most of you guys know that. And, I mean, to me, when a board works, it should be handled with transparency. Letters shouldn't go back and forth between some members and not all members of the board. And that's my question. I mean, do you guys agree with that or not agree with that? That's my question. And I mean, I put that out there. Everybody knows that. I've been communicating with Mary Beth and Jim and everybody else. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? We can have
I think every board member that was not under review was in conversation about the issue at hand. What I regret, can I finish my sentence, Kevin Fleeman?
Yeah, that's
what I regret is that it takes a while to get all of the information to form an opinion. It took us a long time to get answers from the office. It took a long time to get answers from our legal counsel. Unfortunately, somebody put something out on Facebook before we had enough time to fully vet a decision as a board. So well, I'm not sure what you would expect us to do differently.
Annie, I understand that, but
I don't think you do.
It was not the right time. It was
you don't know. You weren't involved in any of the discussions.
Really? Okay.
No, you weren't. You weren't involved in any of the discussions.
Really? Okay. Well, you know what? I think the rest of the members can look at that and learn from that and see exactly what's going on here. So you can say what you want to say.
Opinion. That's your opinion.
Okay. That is my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion.
I think,
quite frankly, I'm entitled to my opinion.
You are. And Kevin, as I responded to you, one can always learn and learn how to do things better. This was
Right.
the first time we had a situation like this. I have to admit that I was quite surprised and not, as I also shared with you, felt that we had to do something to respond to what was occurring. I have done I've had many conversations, discussions. I've been in volunteer roles as well as professional roles.
Right.
And Annie, I agree with Annie. You take your time, you get things figured out. You are not in a rush to move on something. And we were not.
Jim, the end result
that-
would be the same. But my argument is like, when you have a board, you can't just pass letters to a few of them. Period. That's not how it works.
I would disagree with you.
Really?
I've got a lot of experience
Okay,
being on
all right,
committees and
yeah,
running things.
okay,
You have to do your homework. You have to do it. I don't think we went into
Okay,
it.
well, I mean, I've done my homework. I'm pretty sure how it works, so that's fine. It is, but
Kevin, this is Greg Patassin. Kevin,
Hey,
one of the
Greg.
reasons, well, thank you. One of the reasons for passing them back and forth, we're trying to get a consensus among the board members. And one of the most important things that a lot of people don't want to agree to the membership is there of the people who are, thinking like you. At several points, every board member agreed we should move on the investigation. Every board member agreed we had to take action. Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with that, Greg. What I'm disagreeing with is the process of what it should have been on the agenda. It should have been, even if executive session, it should have been on the agenda. You can't just pass letters between a few board members and not all of them.
We weren't going to trash somebody's reputation before we had the facts, Kevin.
Oh,
sorry, and it
no,
got
that's not
out
how
before we were finished.
Right. You and I both know that's not how it works. On a board,
Okay.
it's got to be transparent.
Kevin, as a point of fact, this all developed after the last board meeting, and things transpired in about a less than a week to a week and a half. So it was not any way to put it on the agenda, and there was no need for an executive session either at that point, because we were still trying to converge on where we were going to go with it. But
I
the
think it was
fact
kind
is
of
developed
right now.
after.
It's not about me, in my opinion, but listen. Like I said, you guys do a great job. I'm concerned about the operation and how it's moving forward. I want this to pass. I want the assessment to pass. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to have a hard time getting people behind you when stuff like that happens. It just is not right. Not right at all.
Kevin,
Yes.
I hear you say, hi, I hear you saying you don't like how it was handled. I'm not sure that you know exactly how it was handled. However, I'm hearing what you're saying. Okay.
Right.
But
I
I do want to tell you that all of the board members, except the 2 under investigation, were included in the process and the letter that you're referring to.
Gotcha.
And many made revisions to it, and that's why it went back and forth. But even if you take this situation out of the mix, we are constantly between meetings in touch with each other and working on things. It happens between every single meeting we have that we are communicating with 1 member or 3 members or 5 members, not to hide things, but to move things forward and keep things working here. And even though all of the board members may not have agreed on exactly how to move forward with things, I believe each person did what they thought was best for Hideaway Hills. And I don't doubt that, even though someone might disagree with me.
Yeah, well, Mary Beth, I mean, when it comes to like certain roles and, this or that, that's fine. But when it comes to getting somebody off the board, that's a different situation. That needs to be handled. It's a delicate situation. So I certainly you can agree with that, right?
So you would like us to take Scott and Eric, basically, them in front of the whole community and present their financial records and have a decision made in front of the whole community after we show a complete analysis?
No, absolutely not. That's not what my situation is when you start passing letters between board members and they're not transparent and not going to everybody, that's not a good thing, period.
Okay,
so you agree with me on that or not? Can you agree with me on that or not?
Well, I think
you guys have all kinds of business going on, but you can't official business needs to be transparent.
Are you saying, I want to understand what you're saying because I'm confused. Are you saying we should have included Scott and Eric in our communications when we were researching the facts?
Or it should have been on the agenda. It should have been on the agenda. And then you guys should have talked about the next board meeting instead of this backwards kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, you know, Scott kind of gets wind of it from another board member. All of a sudden he resigns. I'm not excusing Scott. Scott did the right thing. I'm just saying the way that the board handled was the wrong way. And if you want to get the total community behind this, the assessment increase, you know, you have to think about everybody here.
Well, the assessment increase doesn't really have much to do with this.
Well, it does. I mean,
but I
seriously,
appreciate you letting us know that you would have handled it differently. And I do want to invite you. You're very passionate. It would be lovely to have you on the board.
Well,
and we
listen,
welcome you with open arms.
This community, 100%. My family loves this community. We are all on board. I mean, trust me. I want the assessment to pass, but for crying out loud, I just thought this was rotten. Okay, so I mean, that's probably my 3 minutes at this point.
Yeah, I
Thanks
think
for
so.
sharing.
Yeah,
I think we're starting to say this. I appreciate your.
But, you know, in my experience, leadership has got to own the problem, and you know, it's that.
Okay.
So
I will agree to disagree. I will agree to disagree with you, Kevin.
You guys, I'm passionate about it here. Thank you so much. Hopefully, it just I sent my message the right way there. Sorry.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving along, the end of open forum. Let's move to Mr. Swetnam, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll go over the delinquencies first. As of June, regular delinquency was 19,202. Road delinquency was 1740. As of July, the regular assessment went down to 17,717, which was about a $1,500 drop, which was good. Roads went up a little bit from 1740 to 1780, and that's simply because of the late fees added on. Dam assessment total was 173,244. Also, one other thing about I did want to say about the delinquency was this month there was only one person that was 60 days late on their regular assessment and only two on their dam assessment, which I thought was pretty outstanding. Okay, mosquito testing, Hocking County at the beginning of the year, we're testing just for types of mosquitoes, and then they got some kind of grant, so they are now testing for West Nile. I talked to them yesterday, and she was supposed to get back with me to let me know if there had been any positive tests results, and she said no, not in Hocking County and not in the Hideaway Hills. So that's a good thing. We'd like to keep it that way. And I think the heat is probably helping out with that a little bit. As you noticed, that we've got that real pretty generator there at the clubhouse, which we've wanted for quite some years. The state inspection was last week, which passed unanimously. So I appreciate John Jones for getting that together, and that is up and running. Hopefully we won't need it. Let's see. Also, last week's management committee meeting, we took a look at the maintenance fee that we pay for our POS system. And since we're not using it in the lodge, I contacted them, and they reduced that cost by 50%, which originally it was, I think, around $3,200. So that saved us a little bit. We'll go back on there once we open up the lodge, but at least we saved that amount for the current time span. Also, there was talk about some people holding movies at the beach, and so I checked into movie licensing costs, and they were really pretty high. And it was $395 to $450 per movie, which I thought that was really exorbitant. And it's, you can watch it for free in your home, but if you show it to the public, you have to buy that license. And for a season, that wouldn't be too bad, but for per movie, I thought that was pretty outrageous. So the club is probably not going to cover that cost. If a member wants to donate that or something for a movie, then we can go forward with that. But that was just pretty high. One other thing that I wanted to bring up, I had several members call me about the fact of the people swimming in Arrowhead and if we had taken any precautions. And we do have that in the rules that members will swim at their own risk. However, we didn't have anything really posted. And so I have ordered signs. We will put signs at Arrowhead, Lake of Four Seasons, and at Eagle Claw. So those are supposed to be in, I think, this week or first next week. Is posted right away. And basically it's just a swim at your own risk sign, which doesn't really cover a whole lot, but I think it helps, just so people know. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and had a discussion with several members about the one particular flag that was flying. And we talked a little bit about it at management, and we felt you don't want to hamper people's free speech. So we sort of left that alone at management and thought maybe if the board wants to discuss that, that's fine. If not, we'll leave it as it is. But did have a couple complaints about the one particular flag. However, if you get into the flag issue, there's a lot of people that will fly flags, American flags, and others college flags. And so I think you'd really have to separate that in a way that would be kind of tough and that probably wouldn't make everybody happy. I'm not too crazy about people that fly the Michigan flag, but that's they can do that, I guess. The last thing I want to talk about is security staffing. We've been really short on Lake Patrol. We're down 1.5 guards once again. We did hire one guard and then we lost another. And management has okayed to hire another part-timer, which we're working on. We actually had 3 interviews today and only 1 showed up. So I think that's kind of what you had. That's what the clubhouse has been experiencing as far as new employees. We do have several names. We do have several applications and resumes. Randall's been calling these people, trying to get them in here for interviews, and hopefully we'll have a couple more tomorrow, or maybe the day after. I'm not sure. He was going to try to get some set up for tomorrow, but that's kind of what we've been experiencing as far as security. They are working overtime to cover some shifts, and that's why we're having a lot of trouble with Lake Patrol. And that's pretty much all I have. Anybody have any questions?
All right. Thank you very much. Being no further questions, let's go on to committee business and reports. And I have one thing to say that Penny sent me a note today, and it's something I dropped the ball on, is for the annual report, if you could ask your committees to gather a small report of accomplishments of the past year so we can put it in the book for the annual meeting. I would appreciate that. Again, she had sent it to me just after the last meeting, and I did not do a good job of relaying that to you. I will forward you the email that she sent to me today, which she was a little exasperated with me, so you can have that and put it in your reminder file. Anyway, that being said, let's go to the committees. Greg Patassin, why don't you start us off tonight?
Okay, first I'll go with the Chapel Committee. They've had an outstanding season. They have not been rained out, and they moved their time up a half hour to combat the heat, but it's been going well. They do have a request for funding. I know Tim has got the sheet, but I need somebody, because since I can't make a motion, to approve. The total is $470. It's 2 ministers coming in on the 16th of August, and then the 6th of September, for $125 each. John Buckles and Bob Buchan. Mark Irving Music on August 2nd for $100, and on 8/30, Cabot Ray Music Leader for $120, for a total of $470. And we're requesting approval on that for chapel tonight. So if somebody would make a motion to that.
I'll make a motion on what you just said.
Jim Lloyd makes a motion for $470 for the chapel expenses.
I second.
Linda seconds. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And for the organic garden.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Greg, you got more. Sorry.
All right. For the organic garden, the Garden Arts and Craft Fest actually did extremely well with extreme heat. We have all the vendors saying they did well, and they were happy. And one of the things, 3 different vendors said to us, that was amazing. One was the food truck lady, and they said they can't believe how nice the people are in Hideaway Hills. And it's a credit to people. It's a hot day, and you'd expect temperatures of people high, as well as the outside temperature. But our people are nice, and the vendors appreciated that. So anyway, I thought I'd pass it on. And the garden is, we are full right now, but we've got a plot area we're reclaiming, and we should have more beds that we can dole out next year.
Hey, Lenny, you better take over in the president's absence.
I'll go.
Here. That was my phone going off. Sorry about that. I had one phone here just in case somebody called, and it went right off in everybody's ear. I didn't catch the motion. Would somebody else want to make it or repeat it, please?
There was no motion.
Oh, it was just a comment about our organic garden. All right. Thank you. All right. Greg, do you have anything else? Next time I'll make sure I just mute my phone. That would have been a little easier, wouldn't it? Okay, moving on. Jim Lloyd.
Okay. One thing I have is I think the last meeting we approved the concert at the Cove, but I've got the rest of the information on it. It will now be on August 29th from 4 to 7. I guess I'd have to put this in the form of a motion because it has not. It's been approved, but not the dates and times. It's August 29th from 4 to 7. It'll be on John Blankenship's dock, and it will be Hillbilly Deluxe will be the band, same band as they had last year. They're also bringing in 2 food trucks, Smith's Sausage House and Late Night Slice, which is a pizza place, and they will be parked down front. There was some talk about possibility one of them being on the north dock, but we're going to have to do some discussing on that. I think they'll probably end up down front. So I guess that's a motion to approve the concert in the Cove on August 29th from 4 to 7 p.m.
Do I have a second for the motion?
Second.
All right. Any further questions about that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries, Jim. Thank you.
And on the range committee, they're just sitting waiting on everybody to get help. So there's nothing going on there at all at this point. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lapp.
I don't have much other than I spoke with Eric Boysko earlier, and we're still looking at a September time frame as far as South Central Power starting their process of burying the power line. But
Is that the latest version of the truth?
that's the latest version of the truth, yes.
All right.
That's all we got.
That's all you got? There was a question from the Activities for Youth group to name you as to being their board member. Are you okay with that, or?
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Okay. It was in the one request that they did for some money. Did you get a copy of that?
I did not. So that's all news to me, but that's fine. I'd be happy to do it.
Okay. I'm sorry. Assumed you probably had. I can dig that up and I'll send it out as an e-vote then, for that particular thing. I don't want to stop our meeting right now to dig it out, but
Okay.
it was a request that came in. Okay. Linda.
I don't really have anything from Lakes, nor do I have anything from the Architectural Control Committee, aside from a resignation, which I see is later on the agenda, and request to nominate or a nomination to fill the position. So I'll just wait for that part on the agenda.
Thank you very much. Actually, this would be a good time if you want to talk about a little bit with you and Tim. We had the issue with the beach sand project, and I'll just talk about it very quickly, where we had a member who went ahead and did a fundraising campaign and did a great job, and actually exceeded her expectations in terms of fundraising. The only issue that I think is somewhat, and they did a great job on the project. It looks good. We set up an account, a sub account under Lakes Committee, to be able to handle the excess money that is in there. I think that's my recommendation, is we go ahead and do that. Tim went ahead and wrote a check to pay for, because the Lakes Committee had committed $600 and we'd approved that. The one question going forward, I mean, if a member wants to do a fundraising event and wants to take that on and handle it all themselves, that's allowed to do that. Stop that. But I think the one issue we might want to encourage members, if they do things like that, is that if they run it through the club, then that gives them the sort of the protection of the club, that there be arm's length transaction, and there will be some bureaucracy, no question. But the issue is they don't put themselves in individual jeopardy by handling all the money themselves and paying it. That's my only recommendation. Tim, do you have anything to add to that?
Only that I think, again, going forward, if we have another project of this magnitude, that I think they should try to get the board involved to handle the monies, basically.
Well, I would probably make it a little more granular than that. I would ask that a committee be involved. That would make it the easiest if the club was going to be involved. And then the committee chair would work through the board and the treasurer. But that's for another time.
It is. And again, I want everybody to understand, I don't mean this as any criticism, but I just, in terms of, I think going forward, best practices, especially if it's an amenity here in the club, it probably would be best if it was just coordinated by the club and done that way. I think that's my own personal feeling on that, but we can talk about that another time. All right, Tom Matthews.
Okay. The Health and Wellness Committee is moving along. Member Dave Lee submitted an application for plan approval to the county, and it will go to Randy. On tennis, we had a work day on Saturday, July 11th, to fill the large cracks on the tennis courts and the pickleball courts, and plan to have a second day to fill some of the small cracks. On golf, the member guest has been postponed. And I'd like to make a motion to pay Sherry Panacea $59.26 for teacup expenses, for prizes and expenses.
I second.
Motion in a second. Any questions of Tom on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. Tom, I think you need to start calling it the pickleball court, though, because there's more pickleball.
They're getting more players, it seems like.
We are. I think we got a nucleus of about 10 people now who are playing. So any of you want to play pickleball, they're usually Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Annie, are you done, Tom, or anything further?
That's it.
Okay, Annie?
I do not have any updates.
Thank you. I think that's everybody, isn't it? Because Mary Beth sent me a note that said she doesn't have any updates, so.
Jim, this is Greg. I might point out that Organic Garden doesn't have an official board rep. In the past, I know Jim Lloyd was the board rep and well as committee chair for airport. So if that's okay, I can just continue on as the board rep as well as the chair, but it's up to you.
I'm fine with that. Does anybody have any questions or concerns regarding that?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. All right, end of that. Then we covered up fund requests. We've got open forum. Let's move on then to unfinished business topics. Mary Beth, could you lead us on this one, please? Assessment increase.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we have put out a YouTube video on some voting facts. Jim Sigafus is working with management to get more information together that we need to do a second presentation regarding the numbers and additional questions we received. And I think Jim Sigafus, we're probably looking at the next week or so probably to get that done, I would think.
Yeah, I was hoping to target shortly after the next management meeting to have that. I know time is the essence, but I want everyone on. I'm going to have more management committee members on there. Rex to talk about what we're doing on the road. Steve to talk about some expense controls. Jay to talk about food service and furthering. And but I also want to be able to answer other questions. And the biggest question is how we're going to spend the assessment. So I want to make sure we're prepared and answering everybody's questions. So I'm kind of targeting after next Tuesday. I know people are mailing their ballots in, but I personally think most of the undecideds will wait to send those in, and they've got till Friday at 4:30 before the meeting. So yeah, we'll probably have
early next week, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully next week.
And then Greg did a short one today that we'll upload tomorrow, and Linda's doing one on Thursday. So that's going to answer some of the questions that management won't necessarily answer. So we'll keep those coming out. And I think Annie's working with the team on phone calls, so I'll switch over to her.
Yeah, there's a small subcommittee working on making phone calls to more or less answer any questions about how to obtain absentee ballots and such. And then I've been contacting Penny about continuing to send email blasts, which she sent one last week and then one yesterday. So Friday is our cutoff for sending your request into the office. And then after that, it'll be only in-person voting as an option if you haven't requested it.
Any questions from anybody? Thanks a lot, folks. I think we're starting to pick up momentum and start moving for the next month, to get this thing passed. I'm really, like I said, this is just really important. We've got to get this done and move on so that the management committee isn't looking at every pretzel roll or whatever that they're buying, and we can begin to invest in some of the more important things, and of course moving forward to opening up the lodge. All right, any further questions at all? Just hearing none. Linda, could we talk a little bit about where the club lot project is going?
So since our last board meeting, there has been some work accomplished. I have played phone tag with two different folks from the EPA. One was the former EPA representative for Southeastern Ohio. The other one is the current rep for EPA for Southeastern Ohio. And they did not have a lot to offer, frankly, other than to say, really, if you want to understand the particular issue that I had been discussing with them was do we have a saturation point in terms of homes, the number of homes, and water adequacy? And they said the best way to find that out is to actually contract with a hydrogeologist. So there is a gentleman that is another EPA person from the Southeastern Ohio office that deals with, well, hydrogeology. Now, they would not help us here, but he has a list of contractors that could possibly help us. But water adequacy was one issue in looking at the future development within Hideaway Hills. So there are other issues, and that includes what we want our environment to be and look like, what will our infrastructure sustain, what about maintaining water cleanliness around the lakes, and future building, number of septics, that sort of thing. There's a lot to it, and there's a lot more to do. And it really is going to be a community, it needs to be community driven, and we need to have responses from the community. But that's where we are now. Any questions?
Linda, it's Jim. If I can ask, why wouldn't we continue to sell lots to members that want to buy an adjacent lot to their property if they agree not to build on it? That seems to be the direction we want to go. We have a member right now wants to buy a fourth lot. They don't have any intention to build on it, which we can put in the deed. We get the cost of the sale. Yeah, we get the cost of the sale plus the additional third.
Yeah, I don't think that's a concern.
Can Randy bring those to the board?
I don't have an issue with that.
Because we had a member that is really wanting to buy a lot up in Zuni. I think they own 3, Randy. You're muted.
Turn your phone on, Randy.
You're muted, Randy.
I think we have several of those type of.
All right. Yeah, we've got several of those.
Yeah, I agree. Let's bring them forward. I think that's.
Okay. Thank you very much.
There's no reason not to.
If they're going to agree not to build on them, so you have continued green space, we get the additional money to sell the lot. I certainly don't. I don't have anything with it, and it's not going to impact really our community in a negative way at all.
Did we vote to put a moratorium on selling lots? I don't remember that at the last meeting. I thought we said that if somebody came to Randy, that he could continue to do with what he was doing and trying to sell our lots. When did the moratorium?
There was not a vote for a moratorium. It was more, let's look at it, let's be careful with it, and there's no voted moratorium per se.
Okay, so Randy shouldn't have any problems going and selling this lot to this person then, because we never said we can't do that.
Not with that lot. Now, if we're looking at watershed lots, that would be a different problem. And so, yeah. And we have a lot of watershed lots in here.
Yeah, but the problem with that is we haven't determined what's watershed and what isn't.
That's where I was going next.
Some have been determined, but not all of the lots have been. That's true.
Well, not officially.
No, not officially.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
part
until
of
we
that,
officially know what we're doing, I would say Randy should still be able to go and sell lots as needed.
well, is it sell lots needed, or should we pause and be considerate about how we move forward? Or do we just, pedal to the metal and anything goes?
I think we do what we're doing right now, discuss it and, decide then.
Well, I have several members, probably at least three, that are interested in buying lots right beside them. And then I've also got non-members that are really interested also. And I've been telling them that, we're doing the study. We're not selling any lots at this time. And so they are sitting back waiting. And so I'm not sure how to handle this.
I guess when did we decide that we were not going to sell any lots? I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. I don't remember having that vote.
That's what I was told, that not to sell anything.
As we were going through, so let's back up. We wanted time to be able to go through the lots, try to make decisions. And we really haven't had enough time, and we don't have all the information. So if we're looking at lots that aren't going to impact water, won't require more building, I think that's a no-brainer. Lots where people can build, that's another matter. I don't know about that. I would say that we should hold on that until we complete our study.
Well, in the meantime,
This is Greg. I have to agree with Eric that we never took a vote. And if indeed, and Linda, I agree with you too. I just think somebody should make a motion to clarify for Randy that he can go ahead and sell a lot if it's for a member who's willing to put in the deed that it's not going to be sold. But we do not want him to sell any lots to people coming in from the outside who may want to build. If somebody puts a motion up, that'll solve this whole problem. Let's then get it clarified.
When will the study be done?
That's a good question. If we want to look at water adequacy and our saturation point, which would include a lot of things. How do you want your neighborhood to look? What can our infrastructure sustain? It really, part of it is perhaps scientific with the water. Some of it is money. How do our roads withstand 100 new homes? What about our lakes? What will we have to do to address that? So there are a lot of questions that I don't have the immediate answer to. And I think it's going to take more than my head and our ad hoc committee's head. So sooner or later, I think this committee will need to bring something to the board to be discussed and voted on. And I'm not sure what that is. And honestly, it's bigger than me and bigger than our ad hoc group and bigger than this board of trustees.
Randy, how many lots do we have available for sale right now? Or could
well, I've got three sets of lots in Fairfield County that members are really, really interested in. And, their lots, two of those three sets, I never felt they were sellable. And now we've got people that are really interested in these.
Randy, do they want to build on them or do they want more green space to add to their lots?
No, these are non-members. These are non-members that I'm talking about here that are interested in these lots in Fairfield County. I do have at least 3 members that want to purchase lots that are beside them and just to protect themselves.
But overall, how many, don't we have like 40 lots? That's all we have left?
Well, actually there's 60 lots that are on the for sale list. Or 63 or something like that.
Well, and so let's be specific. How do lots get on the for sale list?
They've been there ever since I've been here.
But how many club-owned lots do we have beyond that 60?
Oh, well, we have quite a few that aren't on that list. I mean, years ago, there was determined that they wanted to save them for green space. It was never a board motion to do that, but they just weren't put on the for sale list. I can't remember exactly how many more club lots we have. It's well over 100. But they're
about 137.
There you go. That sounds about right. Appreciate that. I couldn't remember that number.
Could you say that again, please?
I think we have about 137 club-owned lots total.
Okay.
Approximately 60 are on the
jump-
sale list.
Can I jump in here?
Sure.
Yeah.
We have yet to sell a lot that the board didn't approve the sale. Randy brings it to us and we approve the sale. So why can't we continue on this on a as needed basis? When somebody wants to buy a lot, just tell them no. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, if so Randy gives them a price. They okay the price. It always comes to the board. We can look at it. Well, wait a minute. That is really a watershed lot. Another one comes to the table. Why? No, that's not. Let's not lose sales because we haven't.
That's what happened. Lots that were previously identified as watershed lots were sold. So how do we ensure that until we all get alignment on what a watershed lot is?
How do we tell the members that we're turning down business?
Well, let's just, let's play this out, Jim. So there are about 447 lots that are privately owned that could be sold and could be built on and periodically come up for sale. So if all of those are sold, let's say half of those are sold, and some of those are watershed, by the way. So
I'm only saying, I do not think it's a good idea at this point in time to just arbitrarily say, no, we're not going to sell lots. I don't think that's a good idea at all. You've got members that want to buy lots, and that's going to increase their assessment by a third in some cases. You've got other members that want to buy on the side of a hill and sit there for a long time and turn them down 40.
Jim, hey, Jim, you're cutting out. You're cutting out, Jim, but I do want to say, I'm not disagreeing with that. If a member wants to buy and add to the lots they currently have, and it's going to be green space, why do we want to complain about that? I agree with that. But it goes to building, and we have not been, honestly, well, we haven't been, I'm trying to find
We have a master plan.
We haven't been consistent with not selling watershed lots. We have sold watershed lots unknowingly. So so it's come to the board. We didn't say, hey, is it watershed? We didn't know.
All right. Check and see if it's a watershed. If Randy brings it to us, he knows whether it's a watershed or not. So
that's not necessarily true, Jim.
So
because
what do we do?
Randy will admit that he has sold watershed lots recently.
Finances right now are very, very important. And I don't think it's right not to at least look at some of these that people want to buy and just automatically say no. Let him bring them to the board and we can talk about them.
Well, I'm with you, Jim. I mean, let's bring it to the board. I mean, we can vote to sell it or not sell it, but it's a board decision. And I don't think we should be putting a moratorium on doing this right now.
I don't think it's fair to the members. We're asking them for money and we're turning down business. Come on.
I don't think there's anything about, you keep talking about it's not fair to the members, Jim, but if a member wants to buy a lot and add to their current lots and it's going to be green space, why do we want to stop that now?
It's been stopped. Randy just said
well, then we should not. Then we should move forward with that.
And I think if somebody else wants to buy one, a new member wants to buy one, I think we need to look at it before we just tell Randy, no, you can't sell any more lots. And from now on, we can watch it real close to make sure it's not a watershed lot. But
what about green space?
That makes sense at all. Not right now.
I think it was already stated that we didn't vote to do that, so I don't see why we need to continue to discuss this. If Randy has something to bring to the board, he can bring it to the board.
That's what I just said.
So I'd like to make a motion to end the discussion about this, as we've all clearly acknowledged that no vote was ever taken on it. So
What, did you just make a motion?
I did. I made a motion to end this discussion because we've already acknowledged that no vote was taken to not bring lots before the board.
All right. And I'll make a motion right back that Randy gets to bring any sales lot to the board and the board makes a decision.
I don't have a second for either one. I guess my recommendation on this is that we go forward and allow Randy to bring them in. I do think it's very important that we look at, Jim, I don't agree with you that all the people want us to sell every lot we can. I don't think that's fair. I think we need, let me finish, please, because we can't fight at the same time.
I just said it's not fair to the members when we're asking them for more money to be turning down business that's coming. I didn't say arbitrarily turning down business. I didn't say anything about what you just know. You put words in my mouth. I don't like that.
You didn't hear what I said because you started talking before I finished. So let me finish what my statement was. I think that we need to look at a plan of what the saturation level is here and get some additional information on that. If Randy has people who want to sell and we look at those individual things and we as a group decide that we want to do that, I think that's fine. That's where we're at right now. I think Annie just said with what she wanted to do was for us just to move on because that is the actual state of where we're at right now. I do believe, though, that there are a lot of people who are worried about how many people are here. And if we would we haven't done the study. You don't know whether our water is failing, whether there's going to be more issues, whether there's going to be septic. I mean, we don't know that. And that's what I would like to do. And that's why I originally recommended that we slow down until we got some of that work done. It's unfortunate the process has gone on quite a bit longer. And I'm fine. I think the status quo right now is that Randy can show lots, he can bring them in, and we'll evaluate whether we want to sell them. I think that's it. So
sounds good to me.
If you can live with that, we can move on, which is, I think, what you wanted.
Exactly what I said. I didn't say we had to take it. Just exactly what I said.
Okay, I'm fine. That being said, let's move on to the agenda unless anybody wants to keep talking about this. The next piece, we had I'm sorry, what?
Well,
you said something, Eric?
You still have two.
No, nobody seconded a motion. I said there was no second to either motion.
Well, there was never asked for, but they're on there. So I rescind my motion.
You're breaking up. I'm really having problems.
I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, okay. I rescind my motion.
Okay, thank you. Annie, you just wanted us to move on the agenda, I believe, correct? Do you rescind your motion then? Okay. Without a second, we will move on in the agenda. The next one is we had a resignation to the board. I think we probably need to vote. If somebody make a motion to accept the resignation of Scott Martin from his board seat.
So moved.
Right. Tom Matthews moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Linda. Jeff Spangler told me that this was the appropriate thing to do on this. So I don't mean to bring it up to beat a dead horse, but on advice of counsel, he said he thought it would be appropriate to do that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Election procedures, looking at the code indicates that when a vacancy occurs, you can either fill the vacancy if you choose to, or in the case that we are right now with an election coming in less than a month, we have enough members to operate. It would be my recommendation that we go forward and formally and we'll go through the election. Everybody votes for 3, and we've got 4 vacancies. And so the top 3 vote getters will get a 3-year term, and the fourth highest vote getter will get the 1 year remaining in Scott's term. That's what I think I make as a recommendation. If anybody wants to make we can make it as a motion and we can discuss it. Anybody make the motion that we do that?
I so move.
Tim Weibel moves. Good, thanks, Tim. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Tom. Any discussion? Does that seem like what you want to do? The other alternative would be to appoint somebody, and I don't think that makes sense because we're going to have the electorate voting.
So Jim, just to be clear, we're not going to fill the seat, and we're going to until the election, and then the fourth highest vote getter gets the remainder of that term. That's what we're saying.
That's my proposal. Yeah,
I agree.
That's what I just didn't think it made sense to put somebody in and make, especially at that point, we only had one meeting left and a few things.
Right. Yeah, 30 days.
Yeah. I agree.
Technically, the term that you would be filling has 13 months left in it.
That is correct. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. The next thing is election procedures. We've talked about this. Let me turn a light on in here. I'm getting dark. All right. Election procedures. In terms of having the annual meeting, one of the possibilities I've talked with a couple of people is that we schedule it out in the amphitheater. I mean, depending upon what happens, we won't be able to have a lot of people in the lodge per se. We're going to have people who are working the polls or working the polls who will be handing out the election ballots. If we would essentially move out to the amphitheater, it'll be undercover from the weather. We can have a very short meeting. We can call it to order. Just have a few statements. There's nothing really too much. We have to approve the minutes from last year's meeting. And then I think after that, we can, it's supposed to be if people wanted to make committee reports, I'm assuming those could be very short. Randy Swetnam has indicated to me he would prefer not to make a general manager's report if he could, and that's fine with me. We make it a very short meeting. We close the meeting, open the polls, and then we come back at 4:30. Any thoughts on that?
I just think we should make it as short as possible.
Are you telling me to be quiet, Tim Weibel?
No, I'm talking about the meeting.
No, that's fine. I get it.
Any other thoughts? Under circumstances and so on and so forth, it's not going to be a typical meeting like we would have had in the past.
I agree.
Question for Andy. Do you have all of your poll workers already set up, or are you still working on that?
Actually, that's a board responsibility.
No, I'm sorry. That was for Annie, not.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I have been recruiting people to work both the registration and the vote counting.
Oh, okay. I've had some people, being that I've done it the last 2 years, I've had people come to me and I said they needed to reach out to you and they haven't heard back from you. So I just was curious if you got all those people in place.
I'm not aware of anyone that reached out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have them reach out again. How many more people do you need at this stage? Hello? Oh,
looking at my notes. 2.
Okay.
I have a question, Jim.
Sure.
In case of inclement weather, could we have the pollers inside and somebody controlling the influx of the people going in and voting? Just in case it rains.
Idea.
Instead of being out in the amphitheater where it's going to be damp, at least they could feed them in through the door 10 at a time or something, whatever it would be.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good contingency plan, that we could do that, sure. I mean, just make sure that I'm fine with that. We'll work on that with Annie since she's the one running it. But yeah, if it's good, we'll take it outside. If not, we can slow people down and do it that way. And we'll have to notify them beforehand what our procedures are going to be, and so that people aren't surprised by the whole process. I can actually even write it. Well, here will be a test. I can put a little bit of it in the president's report this week and see how many people might mention it. See if it gets read at all. But I think that works. Any other questions about that? Does that sound like a plan going forward? I don't think it needs a motion or anything. It's just, all right, moving on to the e-votes. You guys got them all today. I'll go through them fairly quickly. The first ones are going to be 8-0 votes. And this is on 6/18/20, an e-vote to create beach sand sub-fund under the Lakes Fund. On 6/19, an e-vote to approve $327.94 payable to Karen McNabb for reimbursing for the excavator rental, and $989 payable to Lynch Design Solutions for 3 trees. Those are on the golf course. 6/22/20, an e-vote to play Jim Noble's $22.98 out of golf committee funds for a locking mailbox for the golf course. And 6/26/20, an e-vote to approve the attached below payable to Wright Landscape Supply out of the Lake Sub-Fund. No. We didn't pay that out of the sub-fund, did we, Tim?
No, we did not.
Okay.
None of that
Okay,
was
so
ever.
probably.
That you might as well scratch that one.
Yeah.
Read
Well,
that
it's already
again.
we can e-vote it. Let's vote. Can we, Jim Lloyd, would we vote down or not accept the e-vote in this case? Because this is such
I didn't catch what it was. Forgive me.
okay, this is the money that was spent on the beach. And originally we did an e-vote that we would spend it out of the sub-fund. But what happened is the fundraiser went ahead and paid these directly. And so it never came through the club's funds. So what has happened is all the expenses were paid and the residual funds have now been put in the club funds. So I think we probably ought to rescind this e-vote. Is that?
That would be my thought. You agree, Greg?
Pardon?
You agree, Greg, that we just ought to rescind that e-vote?
That would make the most sense to me too. Yes.
Okay. We will not include this in this group then, and I'll ask for afterwards to rescind it. 6/27/20, an e-vote to approve Saturday, October 17th for pontoon removal. And okay, those were the 8-0s. Can I have a motion to approve those e-votes that were read?
So moved.
Linda moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jim Lloyd seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Let's go through then the rest of the e-votes, and then I'll come back and vote to rescind that one. The next one is a e-vote to approve signs at the Lake of the Four Seasons, $5.88 payable to Osborne Associates for tax, and $182 payable to Paul Bauer. And an e-vote to approve $930 from the chapel committee funds to pay the following people for the August services. That was a 7-0. And then we also have another e-vote to reimburse Dave Rowe $29.78 out of tennis committee funds for tennis court crack sealer. Moving along, an e-vote for Lakes Committee to sponsor one hole in the member golf tournament for $100. An e-vote for the Barn Committee to pay $450 from committee funds to have field number 1 mowed. An e-vote to reimburse to approve $5,431.78 to reimburse Kathy Clevenger for social committee swag sale items. So we better get that one approved. Please e-vote to approve $238.60 payable to Greg Patassin for garden supplies. Those are all 7-0. You have a motion to approve those.
So moved.
I move to make a motion.
Hey,
Tim
Jim,
moves,
on
is there a
those,
second? Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I was just saying, I voted on all these and it didn't show that I voted, but I'll check with Penny.
No, you're on there. You're on the list.
I mean, half.
You're TW. The blank one is JK. That's me.
I'm TM.
I think they
Oh,
put
you're right.
Scott Martin in there instead of Tom.
Oh, you're right. That's probably it. Okay.
I think that's what happened.
Okay.
Anyway,
I think
no
the
big
totals, okay. Okay, we have a motion from Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jim Lloyd seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we have a 6-0 vote, which was an e-vote to approve the attached $57.99 payable to Marguerite Geyer for organic fungicide. I have a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Tom moves, second.
I'll second.
Second from, was that Jim?
Tim.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, I'd like to have now an e-vote or a vote to rescind the previous e-vote 6/26/2020 to approved payable to Wright Landscape out of Lake Subfund $923.16 for pea gravel, $6,206.71 for sand, pea gravel, and delivery for a total of $7,129.87. That was an 8-0 vote, and since it did not happen in that way, I would ask for a motion to rescind that e-vote. Can I have a motion?
I'll
I
move.
make the motion.
Tim makes the motion. Jim, you second? All right. All in favor? All in favor
Aye.
of rescind? All in favor of rescinding, please say aye.
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 Any approve or against? All right, moving on. Let's go to Greg. This is for you, the Constitution Committee report.
Constitution met to clarify all the rules regarding delinquent board members because there are some things that are a bit ambiguous between the rules, the code and the rules. It's a really complex situation. We came to some agreement after about an hour and a half. And what we're going to do is we're going to distribute it among ourselves again once it's written up. See if we can't come up with a firm recommendation and bring it up to the August board meeting. And that way the new board members will be able to chime in and make sure that they're in agreement with any changes that we do end up recommending. So basically we're in progress and we'll get it done.
And just to summarize that, we had an issue where the code says one thing and the rules don't directly contradict it, but they're not consistent. And that was, when we talked, that was both I mean, if you read them, you can just see that yourself. So that was why the Constitution Committee wanted them to look at it. All right. Let us know, I think moving forward and letting the next board deal with that at the appropriate time is good. I sent you a note out that I received a couple weeks ago, and this was a request and a recommendation to set up an ad hoc committee on diversity and inclusion. And I think it was sort of a result of issues of people. I mean, it was a combination of a flag that was fairly controversial, and how that had affected some members when they saw it. They were very unhappy. I got calls and emails asking if that was allowed. Looking at the rules, there's nothing that really says you can't fly a flag. We just don't have anything in our rules that say that. Whether it's free speech or not, that issue can be, will probably be decided in other areas, but we don't have any language to speak to that. So one member came forward and asked whether she could be part of a group or set up a group that would discuss this and make some recommendations. And after receiving that letter, which I shared it with you again this afternoon, just to make sure you were all up to speed on it. The idea would be to, essentially to make some recommendations or have discussions and make recommendations to the board on sort of civility and inclusion within the community. With that being said, I'd like to hear other people's opinions and whether they think this is a good idea or not.
Jim, I'm not sure I understand what this committee's going to do. I don't know that there was a lot of description as to what the goals and so forth were on that. And with that said, I guess I need more. I feel like I need more information.
That's fair.
I agree with Eric on that. What's it going to do? If they want to start some sort of a committee, at least let's find out what their objectives are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she wanted to have some other type of a group, and almost like a book club, and I've got no issues with that. But before we open up a ad hoc committee, I'd like to know more information about what their plans and goals are.
I'm going to go with that too, guys.
I'm, fine. I think that's a good step. I'm interested to see how she would want to put this together and how it would dovetail with the efforts that we have. But like you said, it's certainly, it's worth a conversation, and I think asking her to flesh that out as a more complete proposal makes sense to me. Any other thoughts?
No, I think that would be good. I think that would be helpful, and I'm sure that they would be able to illuminate how they want to move forward and what their goals are. And so I think that would be helpful for everyone to know that.
Okay, well, I will reach out to her tomorrow. I'll give her a call. And if I write anything to her, I'll copy you all on it. But let me have the conversation first, and then we'll see where to go. But I'll share with her. And of course, she'll be able to see this discussion tomorrow if she wants to on YouTube. So, and I'll direct her to take a look at it.
They can meet even if they don't want to be an official committee. So
That's true.
That's their choice to put something together and bring it back or meet as a group.
I think it's a good idea to discuss it in a group or whatever instead of on Facebook.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I agree. All right. I'll reach out to Michelle and talk with her and then we'll go from there. Sounds perfect. All right. We had a week or so ago, Matt Woodrum, who has been on the ACC, basically cited that he's got too much work and just doesn't have the bandwidth to be involved in the ACC at this time. And so we're grateful for his efforts and being involved, but he asked if we would please accept his resignation from the ACC. Could I have a motion to, I guess, Linda, you're the ACC.
A motion that I move that we accept Matt's resignation.
Second. Somebody give me a second.
Second.
Everybody, we got to get this meeting over. I think we're running out of gas. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Now the next piece is that we have a member who has offered to join the ACC. I don't know exactly what the process was. Her name is Ruth Miller. Ruth lives on Natchez, right on the corner. It's close to the 7th hole. For you old golfers, that's where Vince D. Filippo used to live. But anyway, Ruth is the ACC has recommended her to us to be nominated as the member. Linda, would you want to carry the recommendation? You were part of that as the board rep.
Certainly. We would like to, the ACC would like to nominate, and the board would like to nominate Ruth Miller as the next representative working on the ACC, next committee member.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I second.
Any discussion? I can fill in a little bit of the bio because I've worked with Ruth professionally many years at Ohio State. She did a lot of projects with us. I actually asked for a ton of help when we were going through all of the process with the dam up front. She was very gracious in her time and effort and reaching out to the engineering groups and additionally even talking to the Eigel company to make sure we could shape their they were making their bid to make sure they had the information to be able to give us a good bid. I recommend her. I've worked with her. I've asked her to personally in the past asked her to be involved with ACC several times, and she never felt that she had the time or the sort of the ability to do it. So we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
Yeah, Jim, I got some. I don't know Ruth, but this is, I believe it's a named committee here in Hideaway.
It is.
And I think there's probably a lot of people that might be interested in potentially being on this committee, and yet there was no notifications or any communications out to let other members know. I'm certainly sad to hear that Matt's moving on because I believe he's the only one that's really, maybe I'm wrong on that, but the only one that's deals regularly in construction. And God, I think it'd be helpful to have somebody with that background also be on ACC. And I can tell you I'm going to vote no, and it has nothing to do with Ruth. It has to do with, I'd like to see us send this out just like we do with management committee and see what members might be interested. I mean, we didn't get a resume or I don't have any information at all on Ruth. I just think we're moving a little quick on this without any other notification to see if there's anybody else that might want to participate in this committee. Thank you.
I agree with it.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, Ruth is in construction. She's a project manager in the Office of Facilities and Operations Development, OSU.
Okay.
I think she's even associate director. She was, I think, the lead on the, for example, the Ohio Union. She was the lead person for OSU on the project. From the
Jim, I don't think that, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, I think that's probably what we need.
No, I'm not. No, I'm willing to hear what other folks about. You're right. In the past, we asked for we put it in the echo twice and notified that we had a vacancy on that. That was our process. We did not include at that time the ACC because I look back today and I think Penny did too. And we did not extend it at that time to ACC. If people want us to post it and go through the process, I want to hear what other people have to say. I'm fine with that too.
I don't think we need to have the extensive process that we do with management committee, but I just think a notification out to the community that, hey, we've got an opening. If you'd be interested, contact the ACC chair and let us know. Let's it's our responsibility as board members to appoint these people. And I just feel like we need to put the best person on the committee that we can.
Okay.
So, I guess I'm agreeing with Eric that.
Jim, you're breaking up like crazy. Is anybody else here?
I can't hear him, but are we going to do this with every committee? I mean, if somebody resigns on a committee, are we going to then send it out to everybody and ask for someone to fill in?
I don't think the ACC is different than all the other committees. I mean, the ACC and the management as well as the board of trustees are looked upon differently than all other committees. So
I'm okay with doing that moving forward, but we have not agreed to do any committee other than management committee. And when we agreed to do it with the management committee, we said, okay, well, this time we will take the person who has been recommended by the committee. Next time we move forward, this is how we will address openings.
I'm getting a lot of feedback.
I am too.
I am too. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we can finally hear you, Jim.
Yeah. I
actually,
I seem to be breaking up, and I don't know whether it's just this mic is so sensitive to my voice or what. But
I mean, is there any rush to get this person on the committee? I mean, can't we take 30 days and see if there's other people that might be interested? I think it's just the fair thing to do to our membership.
I think we should look at it, but like Linda said, I mean, the Lakes Committee is a big committee, Golf Committee is a big committee. You have one of those people resigning, then you put it out to everybody, or you let the committee decide. And
yeah, but those are
Drainage
not
committee.
we're not getting you at all, Jim.
Still breaking up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something. Okay. Well, I just have to be quiet.
I think the difference is that's a standing committee. There's a limited amount of members that are on that. I believe, I count the top of my head. I guess I don't care who's going to be on the barn committee or the golf committee. Those are typically golfers or people that have horses. That makes sense. But when we're talking about a committee that's a named committee here in Hideaway that influences our building codes and how we do business in here, I think we should do it to our membership to make sure we're putting the right person on the spot in that committee.
And then does the ACC interview and pick their person? Is that what we're doing now?
I think certainly the ACC should be involved in that, but I'd like for us to see if there's others out there that would like to be involved in this. That's all. Maybe we have somebody who, maybe Mr. Coco Singh wants to buy in here and he wants to be on. I mean, I don't know. I'm being a little, but
I think maybe we vote on this one and doing it moving forward, come up with the process of how we're going to do it. Because there needs to be a process on how it's done.
And that's consistent with what we did with the management committee.
Right.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion from Linda that was seconded by Mary Beth to name Ruth Miller to the AC, to one of the committee slots on the ACC. I think Linda, if you could ask actually Lori to get a bio on Ruth to route around for people for tomorrow as well, or soon, so people could see that.
Sure.
I think that would be appropriate. We should do that. All right. All in favor of approving Ruth Miller to be on the ACC? I'm sorry. We'll do that later. The motion to make a contingent going forward. All in favor of voting for Ruth Miller on ACC, please say aye.
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 Mary Beth, did I hear you?
I said aye.
Okay. All opposed?
nay.
Nay on Jim? Okay. Tim, I didn't, what's your?
I'm gonna abstain.
Abstain? Okay.
Yes.
We have 4 yeses, 2 nos, and 1 abstention. Ruth Miller is on the resume, and I think Linda, if you could share with the ACC going forward that we'd like them to at least have some of the process of the management committee, that we get the information out when they make a recommendation. Could you share that with them, please?
Sure.
All right. Annie, new members. We got any new members?
Yes, we have 2 club-owned lots that were sold, 2089 and 2094. New members Jacob Zvanar, Tiara and Thurston, lot 93. David and Gail Dixon, lots 1247, 1248, and 1249. Bethany L. and Todd J. Hartman, lot 891. Mark and Mary Ellen Kramer, lots 148 and 149. Michelle and Richard Tierney, lots 1990 and 1991. Brian C. and Rhonda L. Job, lots 1043 and 1044. Steve and Laura Minnick, lot 510. Janine M. Markham, lot 189. Troy D. and Ashley L. Grassinger, lots 1187, 1188, 1189, and 1190. And Aaron J. Reeves, lots 164, Reserve C05, and Reserve D05. I'd like to make a motion that we accept these members.
Second.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jim Lloyd. Annie, were the lot sales, those were the ones over on Beaver Lane that we looked at? The lot sales, were that the member that bought? It was the first item you mentioned, or the lot sale? Was that where the member bought the 2 lots, the approximate property?
Let me check. It doesn't
Yes,
say.
that's who that was.
Okay.
Yeah, the 2089 and 2094, I think those were the ones that were over there along Beaver Lane.
I lost track. How many new members are there? That sounded like 8.
10.
10 members.
Woof. Yeah. Indeed. We got to get that $75,000 cap on amenities passed, because there's going to be a fair amount of money that's coming in here for Mr. Sigafus to replenish his accounts. All right. Do I have a second? No, Jim seconded already. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. That being said, can I have a motion to adjourn? We're going to get done by 9.
So moved.
Move from Annie, a second. Come
Second.
on, people. All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 All right, folks. Thanks very much. Hopefully we'll get back to open meetings here again one of these days. But thanks for Annie for setting it all up as well. I'll talk to you all later, and we'll get you a resume of Ruth Miller out tomorrow or fairly soon. Thanks much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.